Okay, y'all, we have been really busy this week because we're going to be on the road in just a few weeks. So before that we get back out there in this RV now, we had a few things that we wanted to get taken care of before we went. So now that we're kind of at a place where, like things are livable and we can, actually do life in here, we wanted to do a few minor kind of mods and upgrades that we had done in our Class A. Now, if you've watched our channel for any length of time, for close to 5 years, we traveled the US in a Class A motorhome diesel pusher. And so of course, over the course of those years, we did a lot of different mods and upgrades here and there because we were in it for so long. So when we came over to this RV, the previous owner had literally done nothing in the sense of like mods or upgrades.
Nice thing about doing these kind of jobs is it gives you a chance to kind of clean things up and reorganize. Oh, still have to do the reflectics. Oh man. Seeing all these projects I still need to tackle.
Couple more days construction. Always almost done.
Oh, by the way, guys, Charity did come back around, and now she's a lover of the outside trash bin. You guys convinced her. Oh, geez. Oh boy. The bag of projects, guys. Still need to do the micro air, thermostat, the RV lock. Ooh, and a sink.
In this video, we're gonna show you 4 things that we have done. There are things that pretty much any of you guys can do. They're pretty simple, pretty small, but they make a really big impact. And so these are like our top 4 things. We're like, this is happening right away before we go out on our next trip because we feel like these have the biggest impact in just making life more comfortable. One of the upgrades that we have been really, really excited about is swapping our old water heater. And so what we installed this time is we installed the Fagati on-demand system.
One thing I do like about these particular water heaters is that they are very efficient compared to the water heaters that come stock in the older RVs. Much more efficient. I have found in the Class A when we did go to the tankless water heater that it really used a lot less propane. I hadn't filled up propane in that rig for years. Charity's gonna keep the oven that's propane and the stove. Probably won't do anything with that. We do have 2 big propane tanks in here. The only downside that I've found on these is if you are boondocking, it does seem like in order to get the water running and get it hot, the water has to run through the lines to get to the shower. But in our case, our shower is pretty close to the cap here, so where the water heater is. So I think it's gonna work pretty well.
This one has a 66,000 BTU heater, and so it's going to be heating up to 3.6 gallons per minute, you guys. So that means we can actually have 2 people using hot water at one time. Yes, one of us can shower while I'm doing dishes. Nobody's going to run out of hot water. It's going to be amazing. Fagati designed this thing also with something that they called Hydro Shield Tech. Now, this is where the intake and the exhaust are like side by side, which really just helps protect it from rain and wind. We had another one where, let's just say every time it rained, it became kind of an issue. So this one is designed where that's not going to be an issue. So, and then my favorite part probably about the way that this particular one is designed is it has a premix system. So you're getting warm water immediately. You're not waiting and waiting and waiting for that water to finally heat up and then get up to the faucet. So this thing's definitely going to make RV life way more comfortable for us, whether we're on grid or off grid. And a huge thanks to Fagati for helping to sponsor this video.
First things first, I'm going to cut all power. This is the new version 2 Power Watchdog. Love this thing, guys. No issues so far with it. And we're gonna need to cut 12 volt because we're gonna be dealing with 12 volt wiring. The power is off, but let's make sure the inverter's not on. Oh, look at that cute little thing. Look at that little guy. Okay, it's off. We want to also turn off all the propane. So both tanks will shut off. And that was the wrong place to put things because I'm going to need to drain the water out of the tank before I pull that thing out. Get a crescent wrench. All right, this is probably a better tool. It's the right size. I don't have the right socket. So this is gonna have to do, but let me see if I can get the leverage. Okay, here, I got an idea. Actually, let me see if I have the right. Oh, this might give me more leverage. Oh, turn. Oh, if I strip it, it's not a huge deal because this isn't going back in. There it goes, watch out. Oh, you know what? There's pressure buildup in here. Let some pressure out first. If I remember right, because it's gonna blow. Just gonna turn on the sink to let all the water out of the low level drain. I think we need to open this up a little bit. Let some of that pressure out. Probably should shut off the water too. So turn off the water heater bypass. Well, I'm being very efficient now because while this is emptying, I went and put some Crocs on. Crocs that Evie bit up. Look at those. It's not in the best of shape. Alright, while that's leaking out, I'm going to get all these screws out so I don't waste any time. Okay, so all the water's out of the water heater, but before I get in here and start removing these connectors, I do want to get down under here and open up these. Now these low point drains have a cap on them, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I'm gonna put a valve on these so I can just do like a little quarter turn and not have to do this to drain the water. So I think one of these little valves that I put on my compressor I use this to bleed the water out. One of these would work perfect. Okay, now to take off the electrical box. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. See what's in here. Hope she's not live. So I've got this Klein Tools electrical connector tester for 110. All right, just to make me feel better, I want to make sure this works with yeah. All right, we're good. We're not live. These pop off. Take a picture of that beforehand. Yeah, that's one little lesson I could give y'all that I've learned the hard way, is to always take a picture before, even if you don't think you'll need it. Y'all make this as complicated as you can make it. I guess I can make a new plug if I want to here. I'm gonna cut this kind of at the earlier on. Everything's off. Okay, so I was noticing it wasn't pulling out on the bottom. And then I pulled this up and I see that there's screws hidden down there. So we need to remove those first. Now we should be able to pull this thing out. Should come out easy for me. Be nice. Come out easy. I think she is. Or not. What did I forget? Propane line. Why didn't you remind me of that?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Okay, with the propane disconnected, take your handy dandy tool, loosen this up. Ooh boy, that is on there. That is on there well. Might need another assisting tool. Should be lefty loosey, righty tighty, right? Some of these connections are backwards, but yep, lefty loosey, righty tighty. Smelling a little bit, probably what from the pressurized lines. Now she should come out. This hose is in there nice and tight. So I think I gotta push it in, get the hose out of the way, then pull it out. All right. Oh, there's more of that. All right. Oh, and there's the 12-volt wires too. So we'll disconnect all these. We'll only need 2 of these. We'll see if this thing fits now. Ugh, it's not light. Oh.
Son of a biscuit eater, that hurt!
Ow. That's gonna leave a mark. You know, some of the people that build these RVs, I've noticed they work at these manufacturers, but they don't actually RV. And I wonder sometimes if these people would RV in these things that they build for a couple weeks, if they would maybe reconsider how they design some of these things for stupid people like me. There she is. Sure is pretty.
Tomorrow for sure.
Hey, Evie, what you doing? Good girl. Good girl. This is the reality of these RV projects. I'm going to take a little pause on this one, the water heater project, for now, because on this 2019 Chaparral, the opening on this is 18 by 18, and the water heaters come in at 15 by 15 size. If you don't have the 15 by 15 door opening, you need to choose the 18 by 18 door option. That way you can kind of retrofit this in and it'll look uniform without any gaps around the side. So I do have another project that I am excited about, because this little guy was a project here that John and Betty Ann, the couple that took me in while the RV roof was getting done, brought me onto this project here. So this is a tactical ammo box, and I'm going to be doing something here. What the heck? Somebody put these stickers on this rig. That's funny. I think that was Dakota. So anyways, I'm going to be mounting that here, and then as soon as I get it mounted, I'll let you know kind of what this is for and show you what we're gonna put in that. I don't think it's gonna fit there, but I think we could put it right here. Just enough to where it can lean over, and we've got these. Got these. And then I've got a little bit of this to put on just so we don't get any shaky. We don't want this coming off going down the road. Okay, so I put this on the back, added this on, I scratched where the holes will go. Now time to drill it out. Make sure this fits. It fits. Now we'll do that to the other side. And does it fit? Like a glove. And we're gonna go ahead and drill some little weep holes in the bottom, just on any of the low points here. That should be good. Tell you what, I've been dealing with this cold for a good week now. Just starting to clear up a little bit, but if I'm talking a little louder, it's because I can't hear very well. I'm gonna go ahead, pop these in here. Bottom one in there, good. Get that one in there. Okay, this is where we want to find the location exactly we want to put this. That looks about right. Then we will put on this to keep it held on. Then put on bolts. Now you could probably do, I think, a lock washer, so that way it helps with any of the vibration and it doesn't come off. I don't have a lock washer, but I do have red and blue Loctite. Blue is the removable. I'm gonna do this side first. Okay, hand tighten them on. That's probably good, just so it doesn't move. I had to teach Dakota that the other day because he was shearing off some bolts off of his e-bike by turning it the wrong way. Just enough until you start seeing a little bow. Not too much of a bow. Make sure that shuts okay. Oh, guys, look at that. That, my friends, is a nice little storage caddy for, wait for it, these guys. So this is the new Camco sewer hose end, and you can push it down and it locks in place. Got a little Y connector, you know, for those two hoses. This will fit perfectly in here, guys. Look at that. You know what? I might need to get a bigger one. This why it might not fit in there. Actually, I don't need this one in there. I just need a couple of these ones. So does that fit? Let's see. Yep, that will fit. Does it lock in place? And it does. So this works out perfect. I will go ahead and put a link in the description to the square U-bolt. And they are zinc plated. And then they come with the plate also on the inside to kind of tie this plastic box to the bumper. And then this box is a Harbor Freight box. I think it was like 11 bucks for it. So I'm gonna get another one for that side too, because I'm sure there's things I can store in there. Anyways, I hope that was helpful. Let's move on to the next one.
So the next thing, of course, we upgraded pretty much immediately were the mattresses. Well, it had to be immediately because the previous owners, yeah, they kept all the mattresses. This RV came with no mattresses, which was fine because we have been using the mattresses from rvmattress.com by Brooklyn Bedding now for probably close to 3 years. In fact, we switched out all of the mattresses in the Glamper Hideaway to Brooklyn Bedding mattresses as well because we love them so much. And then that way it's consistent. We are sleeping on the exact same mattress in the RV as we are sleeping on in the house. They come with a 120 night sleep trial. So you can try it out, make sure that it's good for you, make sure that the firmness, the style, everything is working for you. And then they ship fast and free from their factory in Arizona. And they also now have a limited lifetime warranty. Now here's the thing. You're going to be seeing this video in November, most likely. We'll have a link in the description below. But there's going to be some like good Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales going on. So you definitely want to make sure that you're checking those out over the holidays so that you can get a discount on upgrading the mattress. It's one of the best upgrades that you can make, and your future self that is well rested will definitely thank you for that one.
Okay, so today we are going to make our ACs quiet again. Actually, not again, because they never were that quiet. You guys know how these ACs, some of them just dump down at you. Some of the other ones are ducted. I'm going to do a little test beforehand by when I swipe down on my phone and I go to the ear. As you can see here, we're at about 61 decibels. Charity says that I'm talking loud lately because I have got a cold and both of my ears are plugged, but maybe that's better for video so you can hear me well. So I'm going to turn on the AC, use my AirPod Pros to see what the decibel level is, running at high, full blast. Then we'll put in this new device that I think you're going to love. And we put it in our Class A and absolutely loved it. And then we'll run the test again and see what it ends up coming up as far as the decibel level. 60 degrees out in Florida. It's nice and cool. This is a few months. It's actually in fake fall right now. You've got like love bug season, fake fall, then it turns to summer again, and then fall, the real fall. Okay, here we are. About 62, 61 decibels, just standing here. And then let's see what it is sitting down. 58. 62 when I'm talking. Let's see what it looks like after. That is right up in here. The fan comes directly down and you're hearing all that. Plus you have all these other vents that air is sneaking through, creating noise. What we want to do is remove this base, which is really also limiting the amount of airflow on the intake. So much more efficient. Oh, here's the fan right here. So a lot of times you're hearing that huge fan right there that's super noisy. And this completely blocks that off so you don't hear that anymore. Oops. Okay, we don't need that anymore. We've got this little baffle here, a bunch of tape. This is where your ducting is. And we're basically going to close everything off except for the ducting. So air is only going out the ducting. It won't be coming out here. One little interesting thing is this control box is just kind of floating around up in here. One thing that I want to make sure you guys know to do before doing this is to turn off the breakers for the AC, so the electrical there, just so if you do touch any wires you don't get shocked. But don't let that intimidate you or stop you from moving forward with this installed, because this is definitely a DIY project. If I can do it, you can do it. All right. Okay, time to put the cover on and test it out. All right. This is an electrostatic filter. You can vacuum it out or just take it down and wash it with soap and water. And then we'll hand tighten these in. Then we'll screw them in the rest of the way. All of the Coleman mocks, and they actually have these for different units, but mine happens to be a Coleman mock. Sometimes you'll need this trim piece that Wacko also has. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and push this up a little bit as I screw this down. There it is. It's in. Pretty simple process. So now let's go ahead and do our little sound check. So excited to see what live listen. Here we are. $52. Sit down. 52. 51. Okay, it's science. It's quieter.
Yes, science!
So the next upgrade that we made this week, I say we, really, it was Ben, let's just face it, it was Ben. But these are called the AC silencer. Now, what this is this is basically kind of like a retrofit kit. So you can see how this sits a little bit lower than like the factory intake on the ACs.
And it's reversed. The intake is on the other side.
This is one of the things that like literally we wanted to do from day one. It was one of those things where it was like, well, we need to get the roof done. We need to get all the other things done, because when the ACs kick on, you can actually have a conversation. It makes it so much more quiet. But the other thing is because of how it sits down a little bit further than like the factory one sits, it has increased airflow. So it's got kind of like where it redesigns the way that the scoop is to be able to bring in air, and it just makes the AC more efficient. And we noticed, especially in our Class A's, that it really helped with the efficiency of the cooling. It just made the AC work a lot better as far as keeping things cool. And then the other thing is these have what's called an electrostatic filter. So a lot of your traditional RV ACs have like a little like screen type thing. And then it's really hard to clean as far as like trying to rinse it and reuse it. Most of the time you just end up throwing it away and then getting some new material and replacing it all the time. Easy upgrade. Anybody can make huge results for not a lot of effort.
There you have it. A super simple, easy installation and very small thing that you can do to get really maximum results. If you want to pick one up for your AC, just go to gratefulglamper.com/wacko, and you'll see options for the different ACs there.
The next thing, this is hot off the presses, people. Ben just finished getting this installed today. This is the micro air thermostat, and let me tell you why I absolutely love the micro air thermostat. So this was one of the upgrades we made in our Class A early on, and I just was like so excited for Ben to put it in here, because our last trip out, perfect example. I'm kind of in this phase of life where, especially at night, my body tends to be warmer than during the day. And so the last trip out, there was a couple times that I actually kind of nudged Ben. I'm like, hey, can you go turn down the AC? It just feels so hot in here. And so he got up, came down the steps, turned down the AC. With this, you can do it from your phone. What I loved about this in the Class A, and I'm going to love that in here, is that if I'm feeling hot in the middle of the night, all I literally need to do is just roll over, grab my phone, and I can adjust the temperature from right where I lay in the comfort of my own bed, because this is both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. So if you have it on the Wi-Fi, on your RV. So if you've got your own internet in your RV like we do, I can also adjust this remotely from anywhere that we are. So perfect example of when we were up at Wild Adventures in Georgia a few weeks ago and Evie is in her kennel in the RV, I can remote in and I can be like, oh, maybe Evie's a little hot. And I can turn down the ACs remotely via Wi-Fi. We've also used it this way in the wintertime too. So where, you know, we'll let the RV be a little bit on the cooler side while we're away because we're not, you know, in here, we don't need it hot. And then we're getting ready to come back home maybe from being out exploring for the day. And it's like, oh, let's make sure that the chill's off the air by the time we get into the RV. So we can remote in, adjust the temperature, come back, and it's right where we set it. Similar to some of like the pet monitors, this functions in the same way as far as you could set those ranges, right? So if it's above a certain range or below a certain range, it can send you an alert through the Wi-Fi. You have to make sure you have the Wi-Fi enabled to be able to get those notifications. It's really a simple install. It might feel a little intimidating. It comes with really good instructions to show you exactly like what wire is matched to what wire. It's really easy. Anybody can do it. You don't have to be an electrician. We're just your basic everyday DIYers. I highly recommend this upgrade. We'll have a link in the description for the micro air thermostat because any RV we own now, like obviously we've learned that this RV is not our forever RV. It is our for now RV. But any RV we would own in the future, this is one of the first things that we'll put in.
Always scary doing this. Oh geez, see, look at this. It's just, ugh.
Oh dude, that is nasty.
A little bit of residual. Even though, like, everything's closed. So, we're gonna put this in place. It's a little valve to put on the end, so you don't have these little poopsies. Well, it's usually gray water, but it's just a little bit of residual in there. What you do is just put on this twist-on valve. This is a brand new unit, so probably wondering why I'm not wearing gloves. But I'm just gonna twist this right onto here. Then you can replace the cover basically. So this is an added piece in the mix. When you open the cap up, there's nothing coming out, then you can pull this additionally. I love this. Nice little safety so you don't have these poopsies.
3 days later.
Yes, that's gonna work perfect. It may be a little weird here, but it actually lines up with some of the existing holes. Wow, okay. This is gonna be all right. This is gonna work. And then it'll open, close, lock, and look decent. This Asdel material is really nice. There's this foam stuff that comes with it right behind there to pancake it in there. You could probably do some butyl tape too if you wanted to, but I think this will be plenty with all these screws in here. It is not coming out, folks. The only thing is these little ones need to be sealed up because that's letting in air there. So I'll go behind and put this stuff up to seal those holes. That's supposed to look real smooth. This is the controller, and I'm just mounting this just right up here into the sink because it's got a pretty short cable, and you don't need to access it very often because from what I understand, these you just set the temperature and kind of set it and forget it. So having it under the sink here will be fine. Then I'm gonna follow this down and plug it into the water heater. All right, so we are going to pull this down and then we'll run it all the way over to the water heater. So I tested the positive and negatives, and the orange is positive, the white is negative. And I'm gonna use these little Wago connectors here to connect up the wires, because then you can just take them off, take them back on if you need to. I'm just testing it for now, so let's get these guys hooked up. all you do is just put it in there and then just close her up and it's connected. As long as we don't have any sparks, good to go. And then same for the negative. As you can see here, this is the output where the hot goes. This is the hot currently. So I'm gonna have to cut this here, connect this to here, and then this is the cold PEX that's got a couple elbows. So I'm gonna have to remove this connection and then put a straight PEX over to the cold. So a little bit of rearranging with the PEX, but I've got the PEX tools to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and snippy and
Snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap.
clampy. I'm gonna do this right here for now. Okay. Time to crimp her down. This goes on first. Then this. Ugh. Now this will go here. Golden. Okay, real quick. So in order to cut it, you set it to number 2. Then you can go kind of opposite on the connection, right? In a perfect world, it should come off, or not, but it should cut off. Ugh. And then I usually twist it. There, now it came off and I can take a pliers and pull this off. Picked up some PEX pass-through and elbows. I did get brass. I noticed some on the RV are brass, some are plastic. So I'm just gonna be on the safe side and use the brass. Okay, so I'm gonna cut it. And it's gotta be perfect. So I'm gonna just kind of put it on there and see exactly where it would end. And then that way it's pretty precise. It's not cut wires, but yeah, that's gonna work, I think. Right there, push it on. Pop this on. That there is how you cut PEX. All right, time to clamp. Make sure it's on all the way. Yep, it is. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna take it off of here just so I don't screw up the water heater connection. I'm clamping it tight. Make sure we can screw this on still. Get this one on. Okay, should be able to test it out here. And I got a leak. So something with my connection. Oh, man. Okay, so apparently you'd have to connect and tighten all connections on the PEX line. Okay, just turn it back on. No leaks so far. Okay, turn these on. Turn the 12-volt system. Actually, it's on. So it wasn't working, and I remembered, I was checking the fuses. I don't see any lights for the fuses. Then I remembered it's hooked up to this gas light. So this has to be on. There we go. Now this it beeps. So I should be able to turn this on. Yep. And then here's what you do is set the temp that you want. Here, so I'm gonna just do 123. Then we'll turn it on. Get some water in there. Oh, it's hot. Let's check outside, see if it's lit up, see what we have. Ow! Just kidding. Wait a second. No propane. There we go. Oh. It's igniting. Not warm yet. It's probably blown all the propane out so it can reignite. Propane needs to get through the system, so it might take a little while. So I bet you it'll try again here in a second. Make sure there's enough water in the system. Okay, gonna try it again. Oh yeah, now it's warm. It's not hot, it's heating up. I'm sure it takes a moment on the initial one. Now she's warming up. See how warm this is? Oh yeah, it's hot. Hot water. So the trick is gonna be to set the temperature down here for what you want it at. So this is probably too high. Then just turn on the hot water, and that's the proper way to operate the hot water, or the water heater, not hot water heater. Double check for no leaks. We have no leaks. So just to be on the safe side, I'm just gonna dry off all these connections and then run it again. Okay, so I am seeing one little leak right here. This is a flexible hose that they have here for some reason. You can see that guy's leaking.
All right, so we have our own list of, future RV like upgrades and stuff, but let us know, what are some of your favorite upgrades? What are those upgrades that you have made that you felt like this was a small thing, but it made such a huge difference? So let us know in the comments. We really, really always love hearing from you guys. And you guys, you should read the comments because there's so many good ideas that people share and drop in the comments, and maybe you have a good idea you can drop down there too. And then we've got a whole video we did of pretty much all of the upgrades that we had done on our Class A over the course of 5 years. And so you definitely want to check that out right up here.